About. I'm Humble. I'm a Zeratul player, and we're going to be looking at one of my high diamond games and discussing some of the important plays I made, showing them off, kind of seeing why I chose them as well. We'll be talking about that. And when necessary, I'll discuss things I could have done better or alternate plays or more ideal ways I could have gone in or gotten a pick. There's not a whole lot of visual annotations throughout the video this time, but if this seems like something that's popular, next time I'll try and make sure that I have better visual cues to represent what I'm saying. There was a lot of things I could have done better in the video editing process. I also definitely could have shown more of the map as a whole, so you guys had better map awareness of what's going on. I'll try and be touching on that over voice to give you guys a good idea of what's happening. But next time I'll make sure that we give a better example or representation of what's happening around the map. That said, we're just going to jump straight into the video and see what happens. Here, since the video is going to start off kind of slow and I'm not going to have much of an impact on the level 1 fight as Zeratul, I'm going to mention that the talent calculator for the build I use is going to be posted in the description, as well as a link to why I chose those talents. This is a bit more of a high-risk Zeratul build, and I'll explain that in the comments, so just go check that out and see if this is for you. In the early game, as Zeratul, we're going to discuss a little bit of what we should be focusing on. You're not always going to need to get kills at the start of the game to be a successful Zeratul player. While kills are certainly ideal, early game picks may not always be possible depending on the team composition and map. You'll notice I probably won't get too many kills in the first 4 or 5 minutes here. So we're going to discuss what we do instead. What's important, however, is making sure that you're grabbing globes for your quest and looking to successfully push the enemy team into positions that they lose over time. You know, place a lot of damage out of them, get them out of lane, lose them some EXP, or make them low health for the early game team fights, and that's where you can seriously shine. As I'm roaming down a bot, so I actually ignore the stitches that comes up, as I wouldn't have much of an ability to impact his early game presence anyway. So I preserve my skills here to pop them off on the Zebo, get a little damage on him, push him out of lane, and doing that is part of what makes a successful Zeratul player. You got to make sure that you are focusing on priority targets, pushing them out, making sure they can't help out in these team fights. To get a pick here on a Nubarak or Rhaegar. I'm actually going to slow it down here a little bit, explain why I'm not going on Rhaegar. You'll notice that Jaina's focus swapped to Rhaegar here, but the problem is he's already in Wolf form. He's got a pretty guaranteed escape from me, who only has a single Warp Skirmisher up, and he just drops that totem. He can walk away very easily. I can't punish him too much. Nubarak, we know as well that he actually does have that long-range escape he can use in the form of his burrow, but I'm pretty confident here that he is not going to use that defensively. I think that he's going to drop that on Jaina, and that's why I chose to focus him, because I knew if they invested in the team fight here, I could actually get a pick on him. So I look here. Once they set up for the team fight, Rhaegar comes back in. I swap focus, start body blocking a Nubarak after getting the kill, finish him off, and then I peel out of the fight. Either a pick on Nazebo or Kalphas. Kalphas is going to be my priority because he's got all the stacks I want to get rid of. You're also going to notice that this is the first point in the video where I actually engage with Blink. And there is a reason for this. There's multiple reasons, actually. We got Nazebo coming up. If I just walked out on him, Nazebo would see that. He'd be able to react, combo with Kalphas potentially, and I could end up being the one dead. I don't want that happening. Also, it's pretty early game, so I'm not doing as much damage as I usually do. I'm not able to kill Kalphas that quickly, so I have to get on him as fast as possible so I can follow up on Malfurion's route. You'll notice I actually get hit by the stun here. It's pretty unfortunate. At this point, I probably should have tried orb walking a little bit so I didn't get hit or didn't have as much chance, had a chance to psych him out. Unfortunately, I don't, but I do pop my Warp Skirmisher as soon as I come out of that stun to get back on Kalphas. I'm able to finish him off with my W, so it works out in the end. options for me to do anything as Zeratul in terms of getting kills or pushing someone out of lane. So I actually choose to soak EXP here. And while I'm soaking EXP mid, I'm watching the map state, making sure that there's not any opportunities for me to push someone out. You'll notice bot lane here is pushed way up to their tower. While they are low health, I can't really do anything against them as an early game Zeratul. But what I do notice is that Nazeebo is pushing alone top lane. He's past that midway point, so I'm going to try and get the kill on him. Nazeebo finds himself seriously out of position here. He's trying to mount up right next to a bush, which allows me to just walk on him, pop off my combo, get some auto attacks off, do some serious damage to him. And I also get to save my blink to either reposition or escape later in the fight. He does react very quickly after noticing his mistake, and he places a zombie wall down. And this is the right play. And I want to point out something that you need to make sure you do when you're in situations like dealing with Nazeebo's zombie wall. You have to wait until they fully sprout to play your Whirlpool Skirmisher. Otherwise, you're risking getting placed back into the middle of that zombie wall, taking extra damage from Nazeebo, missing out on an auto attack or two, and losing one of your gap closers. And in that situation, if I got stuck in the zombie wall, I would have ended up dead. You'll notice I'm very low health here. Trying to find a way to get in, get some value out of this. And as Zeratul, I know I'm really not going to get a kill in this situation, so I'm able to use my blink, just jump in, pop off some damage. I know I'm pretty safe with my team right there, so I don't have to conserve my blink. I decide it's more relevant for me to rotate down to mid lane, get some push out. Zeratul actually does a decent bit of single target structure damage, so I'm helping out Jaina to get this mid lane fort. Here I actually decide to keep attacking the tower, even though Anubarak dives into the team, because I don't really see a good option to kill him with the tower still up with Rhaegar and Kalthos right behind. So I want to make sure that we get that fort, get back, look for another opportunity to fight later. Actually staying a little bit far out. I notice Jaina's getting low, and judging by how their team has reacted before, I'm expecting Anubarak to go in and try and get the kill. So I position myself right here so that I'm able to walk up on top of him, not have to use my blink. I get to instead use that for an escape, which I do immediately to avoid Kalthos' Q. I'm able to quickly switch focus to Nazeebo as well by dodging that Q. Almost get the kill and narrowly escape with my life. And they're very close to their web weavers, so we're all sitting around that top turn in point because that's where they are. Once again, Nazeebo finds himself a little bit out of position. I'm able to walk up on him. I don't have to use my blink. I get some big damage off on him. I still have my blink up at this point after using Vorpal Skirmisher to stick to him. And Stitches actually pulls me out, which saves me from having to use my escape. He actually could have saved me from getting comboed by the Kalthos if I did not react quick enough with that blink. So Stitches really made a bad play there and unnecessarily pulling me off while he had a healer and Kalthos behind his Nazeebo on his team that could have saved him. Rotating to top lane to join his team. This is going to be another scenario where I'm actually going to use Blink to engage. I want to interrupt Kalthos from rejoining with his team and to force him to try and enter his fort from the bottom side where I can be on him alone without interference from his team. It also happens that I'm able to use it to avoid his stun and stay on Kalthos while he has no options to get me off of him. Here at the end, I get the kill successfully and I still have my blink to escape. At this point, I actually use my blink to get back on Nazeebo as I notice that Jaina's skills are all going to be on cooldown. While I'm low health and I did still have three teammates there, The kill wasn't completely secured, as we have Rhaegar nearby, and Stitch is able to body block Jaina's potential Q when it comes off cooldown. So that's why I jumped in there and got that kill, even though it was a little bit of a risk for me. Out of position, so we all as a team rotate back to him, try and get some damage off on him. Obviously, we don't have a very good scenario to engage on them here, so I run away immediately, especially after noticing I have the Pyroblast on me. Now, one thing I want to mention about this, as normally it would not be the best choice to outrun a Pyroblast, it would instead be better to try and stay in and fight. I mean, there are a lot of situations where you're just going to die anyway. But however, in my case, where I had the Malfurion regenerate on me, and I noticed that that was going to take me up past the point where Pyroblast would kill me, I used both my blinks to delay the amount of time, or to extend the amount of time I had before that Pyroblast hit me, and that is actually what caused me to survive. I think our team should kill boss. As I noticed their top lane, they're dealing with the spider. We have a decent amount of time to kill it, and we kill it very quickly. However, the problem here is my team doesn't necessarily agree with that decision. So at that point, I should have gotten off boss, not even tried, just repositioned, waited, and seen what to do from there. At this point, I think my team makes a bit of a mistake with deciding to engage on this team fight. There's not really too many good options for me to get in, as they're all stacked up well and they still have cooldowns up, and it's a 5v4 fight because we have D.Va all the way in bot lane. So at this point, I'm just looking to potentially reposition and get a pick off what was a bad team fight and will result in a death or two for my team. Here, and he's a little bit low health, standing behind the rest of his team. So I decided to make the decision to jump in with my blink, knowing I'll be able to get a few auto attacks to reduce the cooldown of it a little bit, and easily escape their team, who's not able to quickly react to me jumping in. At this point, even though I'm low health, I decide to stay in the lane, noticing that their team is congregated in mostly the beginnings of mid and bot lane, and they're kind of focusing on bot lane here. I have a lot of lifesteal, so I know I can go to the spider, heal myself up, and not really be any danger in the immediate future, so I stick around. Once again, our team makes a little bit bad call in starting a team fight. Jaina and Johanna go in a little bit hard on bot altar and get themselves caught by all 5 of their team, while Malfurion and me are still top lane trying to rotate down. This doesn't leave us with much option, as they easily get picked. I don't really have any chances to pick off either Kael'thas, Nazebo, or Rhaegar in this situation, since all 5 of them are still up and relatively stacked. This is really unfortunate, as it also causes us to lose web weavers. I choose to stay top in this situation, knowing that D.Va, Malfurion, and I really can't make much of an impact on those 3's push. So I know top lane I can easily take out the spider without putting myself at risk and earn some EXP for the team. So I decided to make that play. My team here also makes a very good decision, as they choose to stick together in mid to finish off the spider there, so we can go bottom as a group rather than split our forces between bot and mid and potentially get picked and allow the bottom lane push to go even further. Unfortunately here, Jaina gets a little bit ahead in the team in rotating to bot lane. And as we know that they are not visible on the map right now, and we just saw them in bot lane, we can expect that they're trying to come up towards us. So we try and ping her off. She unfortunately does get caught, but we still have a good opportunity to fight here, so I'm able to jump in, pick off Kael'thas early. Fortunately for me, Anubarak actually places his ult on me, which gives me time to sit at full health, let my cooldowns regenerate. It's a very bad play by Anubarak, since I had already secured the kill on Kael'thas. At this point, I notice that their team is very low mana, especially Anubarak, who doesn't even have enough mana to use a skill right now. So I'm looking for an option to re-engage on them once they become split from Stitches, which happens pretty quickly, and I'm able to get a little bit of damage off. Not too much, though. The team coming back in here, I look for yet another opportunity to re-engage, and noticing that Johanna's pulled them in, and I have an option to teleport past them and body block, I do that. They still got low mana aside from Nazeebo, so I'm able to easily get some damage out without having much risk of dealing with their team. Even if a Nubarak comes back in here, which he does, he won't have enough mana to do anything other than auto attack. At this point, we decide to do boss. Malfurion actually walks through the minions in top line, kind of alerting them that we were starting boss or we were doing boss. So Stitches follows up on that rather quickly. However, like I said earlier in the video, our team has very high boss damage relatively to the amount of time we have in these moments. So we were able to quickly get boss and actually re-engage on Stitches for a kill. Here again, Anubarak makes a massive mistake. I've already used all my cooldowns and he decides to ult me regardless, even though I can't really follow up on his team since none of my team is near and they're all stacked together. So he gives me the option to escape where I otherwise might have died. We take 4 here, which leads into a team fight. Anubarak is going to start it off by diving into us and placing an ult on me. This cuts me off of the early half of the fight. Fortunately for me, not much happened as the rest of their team kind of rotated backwards and didn't follow up on him. Nazeebo additionally finds himself incredibly out of position, being on the right side of the fort while the rest of his team was on the left, which allows me to jump on him and easily get the kill. Here my team overstays this team fight to a large degree by trying to dive the fort while we are fighting still only a 5v4 and at rather low health pools at this point. Unfortunately, this causes us to lose Malfurion and Diva's mech. At this point, I decide to stay mid for a little bit, get some structure damage, and look for a position to potentially get a pick, as they still got 20 seconds before they get Nazeebo. Here I notice that Kalthos is very out of position and low health. I use both of my blinks to get on him quickly as no one can easily follow up and take him out fast. You'll notice at this point I have Might of the Nerazim, so I have my third blink up to use as an escape. Diva decides to dive core 1v4 at this point. We don't really have much value we can gain out of this, and we can't actually follow up much at all since we have Johanna and Zeratul as her only potential assisters at this point. So we try to ping her off. Unfortunately, she doesn't leave till too late, and she ends up dead as a result. This does lead to us getting the middle keep, though, as their team seems to be very distracted by Diva at this point, even though she can't really pull off much core damage. So we actually end up getting the keep, and we are able to easily escape. Here we catch Anubarak a little bit out of position trying to rotate down to middle lane. I actually blink here to body block him from getting into middle lane easily. Even though he's Anubarak and has burrow, it still takes him a couple seconds to react to the body block and ends up with a lot of damage on him as a result. At this point, I decide to head top lane to gather gems for our spider turn-in. However, my team does not agree with this decision and they instead decide to engage a team fight in middle lane. I'm not there at the moment, so I start rotating down looking for an option to get in. By the time I get there, I don't see any easy picks or any good options for me to engage, so I decide to head back top lane. Here is where I make a mistake, however, because I do not expect their 3 teammates to stack up for Johanna's ult. With me top lane, I'm not able to follow up on that. Even with Jaina dead at this point, several of the players are low, and that's where Zeratul truly shines, as he can easily pick off these players. I jump on Nazeebo and finish him off rather quickly. I also notice that bot lane, Kalthos is pushing alone. I head down there, and I'm able to blink on top of him. Even with getting stunned, I pop 2 Vorpal Skirmishers to increase my damage and finish him off quickly. Here Stitches decides to engage on us alone, while D.Va is behind their core and Johanna is rotating to back off the rest of their team. We're able to easily get a kill on Stitches as a result, and their team is kept rather zoned. The victory is secured with these kills and this pushback from our Johanna and D.Va. We focus on the core and finish off the game. That's it for the video, and I hope it was a help. I made some major mistakes with video editings, and I apologize for that. I'll take what I learned from this experience to try and apply it to the next videos if people have an interest in this sort of commentary. I'd love to do more of these and potentially some coaching videos. Please give me any advice you could spare, especially in regards to video editing. I'd love to see some of you guys in game. I've posted a lot of details in the comments and the detail section below, so make sure you check those out.